Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Utica, Jimmie Rivera versus Marlon Moraes. And Shaq, it's going down this Friday. Two of the top bantamweight contenders fighting for a title shot here in New York.
Yeah, we've been high on Jimmie El Terror Rivera for a long time, and Moraes, he's earned a spot in the company, so it's going to be a great fight. I think the winner, is right there in line for a title shot, and Jimmie Rivera wins a lot of fights, and Moraes has been making a lot of noise since he came to the UFC.
One doesn't simply go 21-1 in professional mixed martial arts, and that's exactly what Jimmie Rivera is doing. Everyone that's been listening to the show for a while knows I've been calling him a future top 5 guy, potentially a future world champion since before he was even ranked, and now he gets that chance. So it all comes down to this matchup Friday with Marlon, who is an extremely tough competitor, Shaq.
Yeah, Marlon's put a guy on a stretcher before, so, he has put several men down, but Jimmie, we know the type of speed my boy Jimmie operates on.
Marlon changes lives, is all I got to say, you know what I'm saying? So.
Well, not really, because the kid came back and won his next fight. So.
But it turns out the Welshman was a fraud after all, huh? But, props to Aljamain for bouncing back, and, man, I can't wait to talk about this main event because, it's a pick-em for a reason. It's truly going to be electric, and this whole card is flying under the radar, so we're going to get down to business here in a sec. Just got to let them know. If you didn't check out that recap show, cashed the 4th max bet in a row. Now 8-0 on consensus max bets on the year. And this time, it was my boy Carlo Pedersoli making his UFC debut. They opened at -210. We hit at -160. And he went out there and took care of Brad Scott. Now we got another max bet this Friday. And all I got to say is the payout for this max bet is the biggest payout we've had all year for any of our max bets, Shaq.
Yeah, max bet season was in full effect down there on Friday in Utica, New York. When we say it's max bet season, it's time to get the money out. It's time to capitalize on these opportunities that we've been talking about. These opportunities prove to pay out time in and time out. So it's time to stop hesitating and hop on board. Hit us at that email, bestfightpicks@gmail.com, and let's start winning today.
That's right. Now, first up, in the flyweight division, we got Jose Shorty Torres. He's -175. The comeback on Jared Brooks is +155. Now, man, Shorty Torres is finally making his UFC debut. I've had this kid on Half the Battle back when he was 0-0, because he went 25-1 as an amateur. Now 7-0 as a professional. He's won belts in 2 different weight classes on the regional scene. And we were wondering, is this kid ever going to get that UFC call? Because a lot of people don't know, some behind-the-scenes stuff went down, and he got offered a shot on Dana White Tuesday Night Contender. He actually turned it down, and he told me why on Half the Battle. He said that, even if I win that fight, there's no guarantee that they're impressed enough to sign me. So he actually turned it down. He wanted to work his way up. He worked his way up. He got the short notice call. Now he's taking on the very tough wrestler, Jared Brooks. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, Shorty Torres has been long overdue. I think he's got a very serious pace, good cardio. He tends to get dropped in the beginning of each of his fights. I've seen him get taken down as well, but I can tell that it really doesn't matter, especially in this matchup, because Brooks is more of, a wrestler, kind of one-dimensional, likes to move away on the feet. But his wrestling is world class. This ain't just no normal wrestling. This is world class wrestling. This is, USA, world championship level wrestling. And we saw his fight against Deiveson Alcantara, who we're super high on. Deiveson's a top 15 guy right now. To be honest, I thought Brooks won that fight. He dumped Deiveson 8 times, outstruck him on the feet as well. I thought he won that fight. So it's really funny because now Shorty Torres has got the hype now. But if Brooks would have won that fight, if that fight was anywhere else, Brooks would be the undefeated guy. So, it's a tough fight. I could see being a case of Brooks, he's a natural strawweight. If he spends too much time trying to take him down and they get back out in space, he might get outpointed for a decision or a finish. But I'm not convinced Shorty Torres can handle this type of, world-class wrestling. So I'm going to take the underdog in Jared Brooks. And I think, the experience is going to play out here. And I think he avoids the punches on the feet and ties up. Because, he can wrestle all day, so I'll take Brooks.
Look, I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think that each fighter does certain things very well, and they also have their flaws, just like anyone on the UFC roster. For Brooks, the flaw, seems to be the gas tank because he is a very small flyweight. This is a guy, if they had a strawweight division for men, you could see my boy Jared Brooks in there. And, when you're taking these guys down, when you're so explosive, sometimes you're not going to have that same amount of cardio in that 3rd round. And you start to gas out against a guy like Jose Shorty Torres, he will tee off on you. And on the flip side, Shorty Torres gets dropped almost every single fight. The thing is, I'm not really worried about Jared Brooks' power. So this might be the first time in a while where Shorty Torres doesn't have to weather an early storm. But I think the first round, Jared is going to be able to take him down. Second round is going to be a little bit closer. It's going to be 1-1 heading into the third. And I think the gas tank of Shorty Torres is going to be the difference in that third round. And I think he's going to go out there and win a decision. So I do have the newcomer on short notice, Jose Shorty Torres, to finally get his arm raised inside the UFC's octagon. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got the newcomer, Nathaniel Wood. He's minus 290. The comeback on Johnny Eduardo, Coach Johnny, is plus 245. Now, shout out to my boy Coach Johnny on cashing that plus 800 versus Eddie Wineland back in the day. I know you remember that. And, the Novo and Yao guys, back when they were in their element, back when they were in their prime, no one could fuck with those dudes. No one could take those guys down. The leg kicks, the combinations. But as you know, Shaq, it's a new era of the sport now. And this kid, Nathaniel Wood, is the future. I mean, they call him the prospect for a reason, but pretty sure pretty soon he's not going to be a prospect anymore. He's going to be a contender. The question is, for a fact, these two are going to stand and bang until one man falls. So with a minus 290 price tag next to Nathaniel Wood, you think he's going to knock out the vet Johnny Eduardo?
It's a good fight. When you got this type of how wide the line is, and for a debut guy, this guy better be coming out here and taking business out, in the first round. Johnny Eduardo, he's that Nova and Ya guy, and you know how our opinions on the Nova guys. When's the last time one of them looked good? I mean, I'm talking about the core Nova and Ya guys.
We ain't talking Leo Santos 100 years ago, right?
No. We're talking about Jose, Henan, Johnny, Tallis, the Hakran Diaz, you know what I'm saying? The core Nova and that guys, they're getting old, and I'm not confident that Johnny can take a punch these days. I mean, you saw his fight with Lopez. He took one shot and rolled for a leg lock. His fight before that, he got schooled by Manny Gambirian. Oh man, who hasn't beaten Manny Gambirian? You know what I'm saying? So I like Wood here. Is the line a little too wide? Maybe because he is gonna give Johnny every chance to win this fight. They're gonna stand in front of each other and trade punches, and Johnny still hits hard. So if Wood gets cracked and he goes down, that's on him. But he has technically been knocked out once, even though he really didn't get knocked out. It was a cut stoppage. But I like Wood here. I just don't think Eduardo can take a punch. And I think things might be looking like it's going Eduardo's way until he falls down.
Yeah, the thing with a guy like Wood is he's so young. I believe he's only 23 years old. So you're gonna be seeing massive improvements every single time he steps in there. And you take a quick glance at his record, you see that he has that one TKO loss, and you think, oh, so he can be caught too. You go back and watch that fight. He was never TKO'd. They were just kind of worried that the young boy had a broken nose, and they stopped the fight. And he was furious. That shows the kind of fighting spirit this guy has. Because with other people, if the ref stops the fight, they might, take a seat on that stool and accept defeat. With Nathaniel Wood, there was none of that. He was like, are you serious? I want to keep fighting, because he truly believed that he could go out there and win that fight. Now with Johnny Eduardo, like you said, they're gonna stand and bang until one man falls, and that's the bottom line. I have to side with the durability of Nathaniel Wood, just because look, Johnny Eduardo's past that 10-year mark, dude. I mean, he's been fighting since fucking. He's past the fucking 15 he's past the 15-year mark. You know what I mean? That expiration date has long passed. And much respect to Coach Johnny. Always tip my hat off to a guy like that. But I think Nathaniel Wood comes out here and knocks him out with punches. Now, next up in the women's strawweight division, we got Jessica Aguilar. She's minus 130. The comeback on Jodie Esquibel is plus 110. Now, I remember when Jessica Aguilar was once considered to be the number one strawweight on planet Earth. And she came into the UFC. Things haven't quite materialized, but now she's got a chance against Jodie Esquibel to get her first UFC win. You think she does it?
Yeah, I think those days of her being the best strawweight in the world are over with. I think she's from the Stone Age of females MMA. I think her game isn't going to work anymore in the strawweight division. Jodie has an ugly record, but I think if you really look into that record, I see that she's able to stuff the takedowns and, win this fight on points and, really, have her way with Aguilar. In the pocket boxing, I don't think Aguilar is developed. I think, like I said, Stone Age MMA times, and I think Esquibel takes a decision here.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, I feel like, when Jessica Aguilar came to the UFC, I mean, she was already way past her prime, and, a lot of people consider Joanna Jędrzejczyk to be the greatest strawweight of all time because they never even heard of Aguilar. That's how long ago she was fighting. If we call Ronda Rousey the Hoist Gracie of women's MMA, then what are we going to call Jessica Aguilar? Because she was from the pre-Ronda Rousey stone ages of women's MMA. I don't even want to sit here and say Hickson because I feel like that'd be too much of a compliment. You know what I'm saying, Shaq? My boy, you know the kind of numbers my boy Hickson put up back in the day. So whatever I'm trying to say here is that Jessica Aguilar comes from an era where, Lisa Ellis and Angela Magana were the top dogs, okay? So I don't think that's going to cut it in this day and age of the UFC, and I think Jodie Esquibel, even though, I don't know what her career trajectory is going to be, but I think she's got enough to go out there and win this fight. It's simply a new school versus old school, so I got Jodie Esquibel via unanimous decision. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got Desmond the Predator Green. He's minus 300. The comeback on Gleison Tibau is plus 250. Now, if my boy Tibau didn't have the result he had his last fight, I think this line would be a little bit different, don't you, Shaq?
Yeah, for sure. And, with this fight, it's kind of hard to say because I wish the fight would have went a little longer so we could see what Tibau really had. I don't know if Tibau can still tie up. I don't know if he, I'm sure he still can. He's a black belt. Of course he can still tie up. So, Des Green, I would kind of put him in an underachiever type of category. I mean, I think he's a lot better than what he performs at and, some of his losses. And but I think he's going to come out here and get the job done, whether it goes 3 rounds or whether it is a knockout. I just don't think Tibau, that layoff, the no more Brazilian lava, no more Brazilian needles anymore. I think he's had enough. And, I think Des Green, if he doesn't get a knockout, things could get a little hairy because, we know how his history is going the distance. But I think ultimately he'll pull it out.
Yeah, Tibau coming off that 2 to 3 year layoff and the USADA suspension, and he goes in there with Islam Makhachev. Now, what I want to know is that an indicator of things to come? Is it going to be now, from now on, as soon as he takes a punch, he's going to go out cold, hit that head on the canvas? Or was it simply Islam's night that night? You know what I mean? Because that could be a sign of things to come. When they start getting knocked out like that was a scary knockout. It doesn't get any better. And then you compare his physique in the Islam fight compared to the Abel Trujillo fight, and he just looks like an old man now. So this actually is a spot where Desmond Green can come out and get a rare finish because, Desmond Green is known for going to decision. Now, that being said, if I'm wrong about my assessment of Gleison Tibau, being at that point where one punch will put him out cold and he still is able to get into, a tie-up fest, shit could get hairy. If we're promised the old Tibau, he can come out here and win a split, but we're not promised that at all. I know Des Green is in great shape. Some of his training partners have told me this is the best Des Green they've ever seen. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Des Green, and I actually do think that he gets a knockout here. So we'll see what happens. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got Belal, remember the name Muhammad. He's minus 400. The comeback on the new guy, Chance Rencontre, is plus 325. Now, I took a second to check out the new guy, Chance, and, he's 6'2". He's long for the weight class. He's a southpaw. I will say this. He's better than the guy they brought in to lose to Neil Magny, but he's no Alex Hernandez, Shaq.
Yeah, Belal will take this fight. I actually think there's value on him at minus 400. Chance he'll go on, have a fight with Craig White or something. He might win a fight, but not this one. I just think Belal's, getting better and better each fight. He's learned from his losses. His fight with Tim Means, he beat Tim Means at a hand fighting game and beat him everywhere. So I think that's the level Belal's on. This kid Chance, he's got a puncher's chance, but
Chance the puncher's chance rencontre.
You know what I'm saying? So he does train at Alliance, but I don't think he's ready for this, and I think he'll be back after this.
Yeah, props to him for being a man and stepping up on short notice and being willing to fight Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad, he's such a badass. We don't even need to talk about the
Belal had to fight Juban to get in, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, we don't even need to talk about the Ramadan stuff, but I just want to bring it up to say how much of a badass this guy is, that, he can't eat until sundown, right? And he's still coming in there training hard, making no excuses, going out there and being the absolute warrior he is. And, and he's a guy that's paid his dues, not just in the UFC, but on the regional scene as well. I know you remember that fight with Steve Carl where he absolutely butchered him. I know you remember that fight where he beat the shit out of Chris Curtis. Then he gets the UFC call. He goes in there with Juban, gets a fight of the night. And, he beat Augusto Montano comes back, gets stopped by Vicente Luque. Now, when a lot of people get stopped by Vicente Luque, they never come back the same. With Belal Muhammad, he put his head down, he grinded, he put together a 3-fight win streak over some notable competition. I mean, he beat Randy Brown, he beat Jordan Meehan, and most recently, he beat Tim Means at his own game. So, man, I think I like his jab. I like his leg kicks. I like it when he swings big bombs. I think he's got an answer for chance here, and I think he's going to take care of biz as the minus 400 price tag indicates. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got David Teymur. He's minus 280. The comeback on Nick the Carney Lentz is plus 240. Now, I remember last time Nick Lentz was a huge underdog, he went out there and finished the fight. You think he's going to repeat history here?
Man, I've been liking Teymur's performances at 155, the Lando fight, the Jakar fight. I like how he stays in his, Muay Thai base and doesn't, trade wild or, engage in anything stupid. Lentz is a tough vet. Lentz actually wins a lot of fights. He's 12-5. He's a D1 wrestler, but, he's one of the D1 wrestlers that likes to, go to his back a lot because he loves that guillotine. And you got to respect that guillotine. He's put several guys away with it. So, I think as long as Teymur stays out of the guillotine, I expect him to win this on points. I just think his technique's too clean out in space. But, Lentz is a tough vet, and he's got a solid chin. And he's looking the best shape he's ever had, but I think he's just going to be a step behind. I think the worst-case scenario is a close decision, but I see that going Teymur's way. I don't see Lentz getting offensive takedowns. I just think Teymur needs to stay out the guillotine.
I think I got Teymur as well. It all depends on him having one of those disciplined stand-up performances. He's a guy that he's not going to just come out there and swing big bombs. First, he's going to try to read you, see what you do. And a guy like Nick Lentz, you don't count a guy like that out, especially since he moved up to 55. He was having a lot of issues at 45 with the weight cut. I know my boy Dolce completely fucked up his body. But now that he's up at 55, you saw him go out there. I know Will Brooks is Will Brooks, but hey, he still went out there and finished him as a massive underdog. So now he's got the chance with Teymur, and Teymur, we're either going to find out if he's the real deal or not right here because, he's only 4-0 in the UFC. He hasn't really fought that high of a level of competition. Yeah, he beat Lando, he beat Drakkar, but these are guys with under 5 UFC fights, Shaq. Now we're dealing with a guy with Lentz. He's got 12 wins inside the UFC's octagon, so this would literally be the biggest win of David Teymur's career if he can pull it off. And Nick Lentz is a very crafty vet. He's a guy that I don't like having action against because he seems to find a way from time to time, and he might be the guy to hand David Teymur his first loss. But that said, I am impressed with the poise and the discipline of David Teymur's striking style, and I think he outpoints Nick Lentz to a 3-round decision. So I am going to go with David Teymur here. Now, next up, we got Sijara Eubanks. She's minus 170. The comeback on Lauren Murphy is plus 150. Now, these two didn't like each other on Tough. I doubt they like each other now. But we got a 2-2 fighter versus what's Lauren Murphy's record? Like 8-3 or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So on paper, it's not looking good. But the 2-2 fighter is the minus 170 favorite here, Shaq. So what's your opinion on the matchup?
Yeah, Sijara. I like Sijara. She's got a lot of good skills. She's real strong. I think she's a little bit stiff and slow, trading punches, but she seems very determined and strong-willed. And her 2 losses, I think it's a case of getting rushed up. She had to fight Chukagi and Ann Aspinlad early, and both those girls, we are top 10 chicks. You know what I'm saying? So I think the 2-2 is definitely misleading. Rose Namajunas was once 2-2. You know what I'm saying? So that's common in the female game. Murphy actually, earned my respect her last fight against Honchak. I haven't really been high on Murphy in the past, but when I really look back at it, who's had an easy Lauren Murphy fight? Because all her fights are split decision or, they're very back and forth. So it's going to be a tough fight in my opinion. Minus 170, I think it should be more of a pick'em, to be honest. I am going to take Sijara. I think she's the more strong-willed fighter, the fighter that will exceed in the tougher moments. I think Barb Honchak's a case of, she's old. She wilted under the pressure of Murphy. But
Barb Honchak lost to Angela Magana.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So I just think Murphy's going to be a step behind. I do think she's going to fight well. I think it's going to be close, but I think Eubanks will win a split decision. But I wouldn't be shocked if Murphy pulled it off. I'm not 100% convinced that Sijara is ready for Lauren Murphy, even though Lauren Murphy's a 500 UFC fighter. She's very experienced.
Less than 500.
Yeah, less than 500. She's very experienced, and she's experienced everything there is to experience in that octagon.
And in life too, Shaq. But that being said, man, Sijara does struggle with the weight cut. I hope she got those things in order. I mean, she should. I mean, she used to train at the same camp as Vic, and, if that guy can make 55, you should be able to make your weight class. But she actually moved her camp to Mark Henry, so Sijara is training with the same coach as Frankie Edgar. And for some people, I think that's a good move. I'm not sure if that's a good move for Sijara because with her style, she likes to overpower these girls and, grind them down. And I've also seen her knock people out too. You remember when she knocked out Deanna Bennett with that head kick? Very, very vicious. So with Lauren Murphy, she's as experienced as they come, but she seems to always find a way to lose inside the UFC's octagon, for the most part at least, unless she's fighting, 50-year-old Barb Honchak who lost to Angela Magana, and that's not the case here. So
Barb Honchak beat Jillian Robertson.
And we don't talk about that around here.
She finished Jillian Robertson.
So I'm going to go with Sijara Eubanks, but, I'd recommend not, don't bet the house on a 2-2 fighter is all I got to say. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got Sam Alvey's minus 140, the comeback on Gian Villante, or as we like to say in Brazil, Jean Villante is plus 120. Who you got?
This is a tough fight because I've always said Alvey's very easy to beat on points, and anytime you get a smart, educated, fighter that can stick to the game plan, he'll do that. But when I think of Villante, I think of meathead, I think of idiot, I think of...
You don't think of smart, educated fighter, huh?
That's the last thing I think of when I think of John Villante. So, this is a guy that, when he fought Tom Lawler the first round, I mean, John, you're walking into a right hook every single time, like... Then guess what he comes out and does in the second round? Oh, he gets knocked out by a right hook. You know what I'm saying? And then the guy lost a decision to Pat Cummins. He got outstruck by Pat Cummins.
Hey, Pat Cummins beat Jan Blachowicz, bro.
Jan was going through some health issues at the time. He didn't have his steroids, but even when he does do good, his fights with Corey Anderson. A lot of people don't know is Corey Anderson was up on 2 judges' scorecards, 2-zip, even with all the leg kicks. Even the Bahozo fight where, he clearly wins. I mean, a judge still scores it for Bahozo. So, I really want nothing to do with this fight. I'm gonna take Villante just because he's the underdog, and Alvey's simple. Just don't get knocked out. But the thing is, Villante's not that smart, and he might go out there and get knocked out. And he might lose a decision, too. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. But Alvey's not a reliable guy, in my opinion. Alvey's the type of guy you're going to be yelling at the screen, pull the trigger, pull the trigger, pull the trigger. And he's going to be backing up with his back into that fence looking for one shot. So you're banking on a knockout there, in my opinion. But nothing would surprise me in that fight.
Damn, bro, I thought you were about to go out here and pick Alvey. But listen, man, the game plan to beat Alvey, the blueprint's been laid since his UFC debut against Tom Watson. All you got to do is kick this guy in the leg for 3 straight rounds and run away. Even my fucking boy Tallis pulled off that game plan last year against Sam Alvey. Even that guy Elias, who they buried on the prelims, who could barely beat Trevor Smith, was able to game plan and beat Sam Alvey. So, with this meathead John Villante, it's like, John, just don't do something stupid and you can win this fight. If he approaches this how he approached Corey Anderson, which is just leg kick him to death over and over again, avoid the big bombs, he should be able to take a decision here. It's just I don't trust him to not get caught by that straight left and go down because my boy Villante loves getting caught and going down. So, I think that Jean Villante is going to be on the game plan. He's going to leg kick him. It's going to look like, wow, Jean Villante is about to win this decision. And then, boom, he gets caught with the left hand and he goes down and no one's going to be surprised. So I'm going to go with Sam Alvey by knockout after losing the entire fight. Now, next up in the featherweight division, and holy shit, this is a hell of a matchup, dude. We got Julio Arce. He's minus 210. The comeback on Daniel Teymur is plus 175. Now, I kind of thought it should have been lined a little bit closer. I don't know what your opinion on the line is, but go ahead, man. What do you think about this fight?
Arce looked good against Ige. Personally, I wasn't convinced that Ige is going to hang around in the UFC. I think he's a tough guy, but that was a nice performance. The second Ige got cracked, he resorted to just basic ankle diving, and it was easy to time and slip and rip that guy. Now Teymur, a lot of people would, you could look at his fight with Henry in 2 ways. You could say, oh man, Henry made him quit. He got full mounted. He got smashed on. Or you could pay attention to what he did in the first round because the first round was arguably 10-8 in my opinion. And Teymur's a serious K1 striker. He's 38-2, 28 knockouts. And he floored Danny Henry several times, and we see what Danny Henry's been on lately. So, I think it was more of a case of the guy's 5'5" and he's fighting at 155 pounds, and now, and he's fighting a big guy. So, Arce is also a big guy. And Arce's, he's been having his performances, but I actually think Teymur's better than both the guys he fought in Pettis and Ige. And I think there's a possibility that we see a different Teymur, 10 pounds lighter. He got 50K in that fight. He got 50K, a chance to chill out, assess things. Who knows how he's going to be 10 pounds lighter, because the guy's got serious power.
Pay for a nutritionist.
Exactly. He's got serious power. It ain't no like some of these other K1 strikers like Shane Campbell or, Felipe Silva or something like that. It's like serious bombs. And we see how Teymur, his big bro Teymur, is. So I think Arce needs to be very careful on the return shots in this fight. But I think if he plays it smart, I still think he has a big size advantage. But I'm going to actually go with Teymur for the upset, man. I think he is going to catch him at some point. I think, Arce is going to have trouble with the small guy in there. Fighting punching down is very hard to do. We saw that with my boy Tractor and Zach Cummings the other day. When a 6'1" guy is fighting a little midget. So I'm gonna take Teymur in the upset by knockout. But it wouldn't shock me if it went the other way. But I'm gonna take Teymur.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when the 5'6" former lightweight was out there beating the 6'1" former 205er. You know what I'm saying? But as far as this is concerned, I think that if you go and you watch Daniel Teymur versus Danny Henry, and you can't tell that that's a fucking lightweight versus a bantamweight, you need to get your eyes checked. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty evident that he was the much smaller man in there. And you saw what he did to him that first round. Bro, some of those strikes, I was like, this is a real striker right here. This ain't, an MMA striker. This is a real kickboxer. This is a guy that competed in stand-up fights only, and he's got all the techniques down, the leg kicks, the teep, the straight punches, the spins, everything, the head movement, the tie clinch. It's just that people don't know about my boy Danny Henry. Danny Henry is one of these tall, long workmen. He's the kind of guy that'll take that ass whooping up front, and then you start to gas out because you threw everything you had at him, and then he'll go out there and finish you. And, in his fight with Hakeem Douadu, he didn't even have to do all that. He just went out there and caught him right away. So I think that kind of gives credit to the level that Daniel Teymur is on, because Daniel, as far as I'm concerned, he's a bantamweight. Let's be honest here. He's fighting at featherweight here, but he's a bantamweight. He was fighting at lightweight. He 10-8s Danny Henry that first round. Then, he had nothing left, at about the midpoint of the second round, and the larger man took over. I don't feel like this is a similar case, even though Julio Arce has had similar type performances, like against Peter Pettis, where Pettis was teeing off on him, and then, Julio Arce weathered that storm, and then he put Pettis away. But if you know about Peter Pettis, I know people that train at that gym. I know his coaches. They've told me in the past, he's the most talented kid in the room, but there's something mental with the guy. So there was something mental with him, and he quit. And as far as Dan Ige is concerned, Dan Ige was doing pretty good with the grappling. This is a completely different matchup because Daniel Teymur ain't a grappler like Ige, but Ige got caught one time, and it seemed like he didn't know where he was anymore. He just went on autopilot, and he got the shit beaten out of him. With Daniel Teymur, he's going to actually come out here and throw some serious strikes at Julio Arce, and I feel like him dropping a weight class is actually going to aid his cardio here, and I don't think he's going to have that adrenaline dump. I don't think he's going to suddenly stop fighting, midway through the second and third round. I think this has the chance to be a war. I also think this has the chance to be a knockout. I think Daniel Teymur is the faster guy, the more technical guy. It's just, don't gas out in that second and third round. I think he's got this. I actually think Daniel's got a chance to go out here and knock out Julio Arce, so I'm going to go with Daniel for the upset. Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got Jake Ellenberger. He's minus 190. The comeback on Ben Saunders is plus 165. Now, Shaq, this is a matchup between the guy that can't take a punch versus the guy that's scared to throw a punch. Who you got?
Yeah, it's surprising to see all that confidence on Ellenberger. I get it. You think Ben Saunders has no chin and that he can't take a punch. And his last few fights, with Sabata, he got knocked out quick. When he fought Alan Juban literally a few months ago, and he is coming back too soon. But the thing is to trust Jake Ellenberger in the spot. He might accidentally knock him out, Dan. But you know what I'm saying? It might be going Saunders' way, and then Jake might just land a punch because he still does hit hard, and he might accidentally knock him out. But I'll tell you right now, Ben Saunders has way more heart than Jake Ellenberger. He has way more cardio than Jake Ellenberger. And I think he's longer. He's got the teeps of the body, the knees in the clinch. It just comes down to if he can stay conscious. If he can stay conscious, I got Ben Saunders in this fight, actually. Jake Ellenberger, it doesn't take much for him to quit. Even the fight that he won against Matt Brown, if you really watch that fight, Matt Brown gets dropped early, but look what was happening after that. Matt Brown was literally on the verge of knocking him out. You just can't take a body shot. What happened in the Jorge fight? The second things didn't go his way. What happened? He quit. Mike Perry, he just got killed. I mean, the guy's a habitual quitter. When things don't go his way, he looks for a way out. Now, I know he's been losing great competition, but the
great competition like Tarek Saffiedine.
The longer and longer he's a former Strikeforce champion. The longer and longer you go, these things just get worse and worse. I think this fight just comes down to if Saunders can stay up. If Saunders can stay up, I think he's going to win this fight. You saw how much it took Alan Jouban to actually get him down. I mean, we had a bet on the under 2.5 in that fight, and we were very nervous. We wanted Ben to go down sooner, and eventually he did. But you saw Jouban throws on a frequent basis. Ellenberger has a very low activity rate, so I'm going to go with Saunders on this one.
Yeah, look, friends don't let friends bet on Jake Ellenberger, especially in 2018. I mean, look, he's 4-8 in his last 12 fights, and the guy simply doesn't want to be in there. The only issue is, power's the last thing to go. So he still does have that one-hitter quitter. It's just that he rarely ever lets it go. He's too scared to throw a punch. But if he does land clean on Ben Saunders, Ben Saunders has been knocked out a million times, so don't be surprised if he knocks out Ben Saunders. That being said, if he doesn't knock out Ben Saunders, he's losing this fight all fucking day, whether it's a decision, a submission, or a knockout, because I feel like the volume is going to be controlled by Ben Saunders. It's just, don't go down, Ben. As long as you don't go down, you're going to win this fight. Jake doesn't want it as much as Ben. I mean, you guys have been listening to Half the Battle already know all the stories we've told about Jake, Yes, Jake, back from the Edmund days. I mean, there's a guy that sought out Edmund for help.
Bro,
you understand
this guy's head is so messed up. When he walks up to the octagon, his eyes are closed and he's talking to himself. He's a nice guy, but I mean, what about that Rory fight? What happened when he fought Tarek Saffiedine? And you remember when he punched Tarek Saffiedine and Tarek Saffiedine looked off and had no idea where he was and Jake didn't throw? And Rafael Cordero turned around and put his head down and was just like,
they're like, are you serious, Jake? Like, really? And now, Jake, I believe he's training at King's MMA.
No, he's training with TJ's gym.
TJ Dillashaw?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good he's not at King's MMA, because I heard he was
with RDA, though.
I heard he was getting knocked out every week at King's MMA, so I'm glad that he left that environment. That's not a place for him. That's a place for a guy like Kelvin Gastelum and Sean Strickland, not a place for a guy like Jake Ellenberger. But listen, man, I mean, he's got to close his eyes, throw one of those big bombs, and hope to knock Ben Saunders out. Because if he uses his wrestling and tries to take Ben Saunders down, Ben Saunders, he's got that rubber game. He's going to start throwing big elbows from bottom. So the volume's going to accumulate for Ben Saunders. He's going to win this fight. And when we had that under 2.5 in the Jouban-Saunders fight, Jouban had to fucking actually put in some effort to put down Ben Saunders. You know what I'm saying? And these guys that knock him out, like Douglas Lima, they don't just knock him out with the first punch. They have to actually accumulate and then knock him out. And Jake simply doesn't have that volume. So I'm going to go with Ben Saunders to break Jake Ellenberger. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got Walt Harris. He's minus 300. The comeback on Daniel Spitz is plus 250. Now, both these guys have losses to Mark Godbeer. I know one's controversial, one's a DQ. But, hey, on paper, you know what it is. So, who you got in this matchup?
Oh, man, it's a good fight. Harris definitely has the cleaner technique. He's more athletic, but don't sleep on Spitz's athleticism. He's also a former Division I football player. And, Spitz is 6'7". They call him Daddy Longlegs for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I like his movement. He's a little wannabe heavyweight Dom Cruz. He kind of reminds me of when Travis used to fight at heavyweight back when he was training with Dom. You know what I'm saying? All that movement.
For those that don't know, we're talking about like the Travis that knocked out Josh Barnett.
I'm talking about the Travis that trained at Alliance when he fought Stefan Struve and James
pre-Ronda Travis.
You know what I'm saying? James McSweeney. That Travis Brown when he was supposed to be the future of the heavyweight division.
Pre-domestic abuse Travis. Pre-Edmund Travis.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Spitz is it's interesting to see this line because Walt's 10-7. Walt loses a lot of fights. Daniel, you know what I'm saying? Walt, I've seen Walt quit before. I've seen Walt get hit behind the ear against a 205er and take a knee. You know what I'm saying? Now I said I do think he has the cleaner technique, but I'm not sure Spitz is ready for this level quite yet. But it would not shock me in the slightest if so this is a dog or pass situation. 100%, I would not lay minus 300 on Walt Harris in any situation unless he was fighting, a Nasker or a French guy or something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take Harris in here, but I'm kind of feeling a little upset, Brian, possibly.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think if my boy Daniel Spitz can keep up that footwork for 3 straight rounds, that not only does he have the potential to beat Walt Harris, I actually think he's got the potential to go out there and win a lot of UFC heavyweight fights, but that's contingent on him being able to keep that footwork up for 3 straight rounds. You know what I'm saying, Shaq? Because in that fight with Godbeer, which, let's be honest, he took it coming off the couch on less than a week's short notice, he could only keep that movement up for about a minute or two, and then he gassed out. He took his ass whooping like a man. He didn't quit. He comes back out there against Anthony Hamilton, puts Anthony Hamilton away in 20 seconds, exactly how you're supposed to.
Adam couldn't do that.
My boy Adam Waytrick that just
Arjun?
Did he plot him or Gogo plot? He plotted him. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't do that. So this all comes down to, in my opinion, now he's got this full training camp. Can Spitz keep up that footwork for 3 straight rounds? If he does, I think he goes out here and he knocks out Walt Harris. But if he doesn't, and he, you know what I'm saying, he starts to gas out, Walt hits like a truck. Let's be honest. Walt is a very dangerous guy. It's just Walt is a habitual underperformer. Walt's like the Courtney Casey of heavyweight.
Cannoneer of heavyweight.
The cannoneer of heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go with my boy Daniel Spitz for the upset. Co-main event of the evening, we got Gregor the Gift Gillespie. He's minus 475. The comeback on Vinc from Hell Pichel is plus 380. Now, we fuck with my boy Vinc Pichel from Tough 15, one of the best seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. Great guy. But Gregor Gillespie, I'll tell you what, for a prospect at 155 pounds, the kid's the real deal. He's the total package. The drive on those takedowns. For those that don't know, Gregor Gillespie is a guy that competed in the finals in wrestling against Jordan Burroughs. One doesn't simply compete in the finals against Jordan Burroughs. And not to mention, he's a Golden Gloves boxer too. He can knock people out. Gregor Gillespie is the real deal. You think he's going to come out here as a minus 475 favorite and take care of the very, very tough Vinc Pichel?
Yeah, I thought Pichel lost his last fight, to be honest, against Joaquim Silva. Congrats to him for, getting his hand raised. But, I thought it should have went the other way. Gillespie gave a lot of people a scare. He had that easy fight with Gonzalez. And, Gonzalez is a 6'2", and Gonzalez has been getting a lot better. So, still at the end of the day, Gregor beat his ass. But, in this fight, I actually think it's going to play out a lot closer than the line indicates. I think Pichel's, even though he's older, I think he's younger in the fight years because he had that such a long layoff before the Damian Brown fight. And, Pichel does good, moving backwards. I just think that ultimately Gregor will be able to bail himself out in wrestling situations if things got hairy on the feet. I just think the drive will be too much, but I actually think things on the feet will be going Pichel's way just with the movement, the craftiness, the way he can strike moving backwards. And he's got power in his hands too. This is a guy that got most of his wins are by knockout besides 1 or 2. So, I'm going to go with Gillespie here just by tie-up, typical D1 wrestler performance, but I think the line's off, and I think Pichel will actually win a round possibly.
I actually disagree, man. I don't think the line's off. I think it's going to be a very dominant performance by Gregor Gillespie. Look, I got a lot of respect for Vinc Pichel, as you guys already heard. Great guy, great fighter. But I think this kid, Gregor Gillespie, I think he's on something else, man. I think that his wrestling, obviously, I don't have to mention that. His boxing is on point. But more importantly than that, he's a winner. The kid knows how to win. He's a pro winner. He knows how to get the job done. He knows how to find the way to win. And that's one of the most important aspects of any fighter that you're going to bet on. Now, unfortunately, he's minus 475. He's out of range. But I do expect a dominant performance by Gregor Gillespie, whether it's a 30-27, a 30-26, possibly even a finish. I think the kid's that good. I think you got to look out for him. And I think he's a potential top 15 guy. Not right now, but in the future. So definitely keep your eyes out for a guy like Gregor Gillespie, and I think Vinc Pichel will rebound really well after he takes this setback. Now, main event of the evening. Here we go, man. Jimmie Rivera, or as Marlon likes to say, Jimmie Rivera. He's minus 115. The comeback on Marlon Moraes is minus 105. Now, it opened like minus 190, Jimmie. A lot of action came in on Marlon. Now it's a pick'em, 5-round main event. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rivera in this one. I think he's a little bit too fast for Marlon. I think Marlon's had a nice little last 2 fights at 135, but I thought that Dotson fight could have won either way. He got dropped twice in that fight. He got wobbled twice against Assunção in a fight that he lost. And because he got caught, playing that hand, he fell into that Assunção trap. You play that point game with Assunção, don't be shocked when you lose a split. Aljamain, okay, yeah, he knocked out Aljamain. Congrats, you know what I'm saying? But I think Jimmie's just way too fast. Jimmie does have a cardio issue, but I actually think he will overwhelm Marlon early. I think it's a big speed advantage for Jimmie Rivera. But, if this fight did hit the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, I'm not going to lie. Jimmie has been dropped in those late rounds. He got dropped by Thomas Almeida. He got dropped by Yuri Alcantara. The Faber fight was clean. But, his recovery ability is second to none, man. When he gets dropped, his legs are popping right back up and he's awake. So, I think Jimmie's going to overwhelm him early. I think he's got better punches. I think he's going to beat Marlon to the punch. I think Marlon has better kicks, but don't sleep on Jimmie's kicks either because we saw what he did to Faber's legs. But, I give a slight edge to Marlon in the kicking department. But, it's going to be interesting to see if that slow, methodical pace of Marlon could prevail him in the later rounds. But I think Jimmie's going to beat him in the early rounds.
I think there's a massive speed advantage early on for Jimmie Rivera, especially in the hands, and I don't think Jimmie's the kind of guy to go kick for kick with someone. I mean, look, when you're fighting Faber, the blueprint's been laid out for years on how to beat that guy. Just leg kick him like Jose Aldo did, so that's exactly what Jimmie did. Jimmie's a very smart guy. You don't just go 21-1 on a 20-fight win streak unless you're a very smart guy. I've been saying for a long time, this is a future world champion, so I'm not going to stop here. Look, I got a lot of respect for Marlon Moraes. He can head kick the fuck out of dudes. I mean, you've seen him knock plenty of people out. You've seen him go the 5-round distance. I know people are going to conveniently forget about that time when Josh Hill possibly beat him by decision. But guess what? They rematched, and he went out there and he knocked out Josh Hill. So we'll kind of pretend that never happened, right, Shaq? But listen, man, I think Marlon is an incredible fighter. I think he's going to rebound. I just think he's too slow for Jimmie Rivera. Now, here's where I'm concerned because both of them are, a bit chinny. Jimmie's been dropped in a lot of his fights, but people forget about those times when Marlon Moraes, not just against John Dodson, what about back in those basements in Brazil? You know what I'm saying? When he was getting dropped over in those fights, man. So
Josh Hill.
or Josh Hill, you know what I'm saying? Marlon's been getting dropped for a long time. So what I think is going to happen is I actually think Jimmie can get him out of there in the first 2 rounds. However, if it comes down to this 3rd and 4th round and they start settling into a more methodical fight and Marlon can get his kicking distance, that's when Marlon can start to have some success on a guy like Jimmie Rivera who has been, caught in all of his fights. Granted, his recoverability is second to none. It's unbelievable. I mean, the guy, you knock him down, he pops right back up. So I'm going to go with Jimmie Rivera. It's a very dangerous fight because you got to show all the respect in the world to a guy like Marlon. But I think Jimmie Rivera goes out here and beats him, gets his title shot, and don't be surprised when Jimmie Rivera becomes a UFC world champion. Now, Shad, before we hit up Kyle Marley for the Big Marley Minute, just got to remind him, another max bet this Friday, UFC Utica. It's going to get the job done, but this time, big payout on this max bet. And, man, we've just been undefeated on the consensus max bets this entire year.
Yeah, and it's gonna, we're gonna keep it rolling this Friday in UFC Utica. You're gonna get the job done, like we said, max bet season. I don't even have to say the numbers. I mean, I'm a man of my word. When we say it's max bet season, it's easy money on the board. We get the job done. So, sign up today. And this is the right time to sign up because we got a lot of easy matchups coming up, you know what I'm saying? In Singapore, LA, pretty much every card, UFC 225 coming up in Chicago, the pay-per-view. So things are just...
Don't forget about Boise now.
And Boise, Boise is probably the biggest night, in history. So, we got a lot of easy money fights coming up. And when we say max bet season, it's max bet season.
That's right. So go to bestfightpicks.com, go to maxbetseason.com, and we'll hear from you soon. Now we got to hit up Kyle Marley for the Big Marley Minute. And joining us now on the Big Marley Minute is Big Marley himself. Kyle, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Ready to keep this money train rolling.
Oh, yeah, you already know the deal. I'm definitely got the same goal as you. And look, this main event's unbelievable. Winner's probably getting a title shot. You got Jimmie Rivera versus Marlon Moraes. I'm looking on DraftKings. You see the 8,200 for Jimmie. And you see Basically, 8,000 for Moraes, so it's only $200 more for Jimmie. What do you think about how they set that line?
I like it actually. I think it was kind of along the lines of when the odds, what the odds were when they came out with these salaries. But I think I am picking Rivera to win this. So it's tough though. It's tough. I want both of them, of course, in different lineups. You could stack this one in cash, but with 5 rounds, I just have a hard time seeing the winner of this not paying off their price tag. So whoever you like, I think needs to be in your lineup. If I was making one lineup, I would go ahead and just take Rivera. But I'm not going to make just one lineup. I'm going to have multiple lineups, so I'll have both of these guys, but I'll have more Rivera than Moraes.
So Gregor Gillespie, he's back. He's taking on Vinc Pichel. Look, I think Vinc Pichel is a super tough and underrated guy. But with Gregor, we might be looking at the future. You know, I'm not going to say he's a future world champion yet, but I will say he's a future top 15 guy. You wrestle in the finals against Jordan Burroughs. That's all I got to say. Plus, you know, we've seen him knock dudes out as well. A lot of people think that the line should be closer. I disagree. I got Gillespie here, but here's my question. 9,500. Is he gonna cover that salary?
He's never scored less than 100, so yeah, I think he could. I like picking Pichel most of the time. I think I've been on him the last 3 or 4 fights, but this is a tough one to pick him with. I think Gillespie could be the real deal. His wrestling is no doubt legit, maybe the best in the division. So if he wants to use his wrestling, it's going to work out for him, and he could take it to the ground probably anytime he wants. But it looks like he has kind of fallen in love with the striking, so maybe he's going to want to keep this standing up, test his game there, and then maybe take it to the ground if he gets in trouble. But I just think he has so many more ways to win where he's my pick here. I don't hate Pichel punts maybe if you're trying to save some salary. But if I was making one lineup, there's probably a pretty good chance Gillespie would make it.
So, Walt Harris versus Daniel Spitz. It's a heavyweight matchup, and you know there's always a chance that one of these guys is going to win by knockout. Now, Walt Harris, I mean, sometimes he devastates guys, and other times he drops the ball. With Spitz, we don't know enough about him, but he's 6,900. So you put him in your lineup, and then you can afford some of the bigger favorites. It's just a matter of, you know, are you willing to take that risk here?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I probably like this punt more than I like Pichel, mainly because the fight doesn't go to decision is minus 380. So I would really want my investment there on both sides. This is a good fight to target no matter who you like because it should be a knockout. And I'm thinking Walt Harris is probably the guy that's going to do it, so I want more of him. But, man, I mean, he's nothing special, and Spitz is tall and lanky. Maybe he could get it done. So I'll have a couple shares of Spitz, but I like Harris a good bit in this one.
So Ellenberger and Saunders are fighting, and as long as these two don't just stare at each other, there's a chance that someone's going to go down. I know a lot of people are very high on Ellenberger, and I just don't understand it, Kyle. And Saunders just got killed recently, but I do think that Saunders has a chance here because Ellenberger refuses to throw most of the time. So Saunders is going to be my sneaky, one of my sneaky little underdogs on my lineup. Do you have an opinion on that?
See, man, I really would like to fade this fight, but I don't think you can because fight doesn't go to decision is minus 245, and that's another pretty big favorite for it to not go to decision. So somebody's going to score high here. I think I would want to save money, though, on this one and go with the taller guys. Take Saunders just because I think he has more ways to win because he could get the submission or possibly a knockout. But he could also go out there and get 0 points, be knocked out in the first round. So this is really a tough fight to call. It's ugly putting into your lineups, but I think it almost has to be there. So this for me would be more of a last pick in my lineup. If I have enough to fit Saunders, I'll throw him in. But if I got money to spend, I'll go ahead and put Ellenberger. But Saunders, I think he's my pick here as the dog. I got to save money somewhere.
A featherweight fight I'm really looking forward to is Julio Arce versus Daniel Teymur. Arce has looked super impressive in the UFC and on Contender Series, and if you watch Daniel Teymur versus Danny Henry, you already know the kind of powerhouse Daniel Teymur is. Now he's dropping a weight class. I like the price tag. What's your opinion on the matchup?
I'm leaning Arce. I'm not fully done with my film on this one yet, so I'm not going to lock in my pick here. But I do like Arce. I'm just not sure how much I like him on DraftKings. He won his first fight, but he only scored 68 points, and now he's 8,800. So I want at least 88 points if he's going to win this one to be in my lineup. So I'm just not really sure with the little film I've done so far this week if I really want to trust him there. But it could happen. He is my pick to win. I do think Teymur's a savage, though. He could go out there and get a first-round finish. So, I don't know. I got to do some more work on this one right now. The pick is Arce, but it could be a decent spot either way. So, if you're liking Teymur here, he could be a good GPP play.
So Belal Muhammad, he's taking on the newcomer, and look, they got Belal Muhammad 9,400. I obviously favor him to win, but to cover a 9,400 price tag, you better come out here and knock the guy out. His last 3 wins are by decision. Do you have an opinion on this one?
Yeah, I think he should win. He could be. I think he's a better cash play than a GPP play because I'm pretty confident he gets the job done. So you can just go ahead and lock in one of your wins for cash. But I'm not confident he's getting a 94 out of his $9,400 price tag. So I don't really want a whole lot of them in GPPs. He could get that done. I would just rather pay the extra $100 and go to Gillespie personally. But I do think cash is safe, and if you need to save that $100 in cash, that's fine.
And last but not least, Desmond the Predator Green. He's taking on Gleison Tibau. Now, I know you saw what happened in Gleison Tibau's last fight. Now, what I'm curious about, is that an indicator of things to come? Was it just credit to Islam? Because with Des Green being 9,000 here, he better have a similar result if he wants to cover that price tag, my man.
Yeah, man, 9,000 is pretty high. So I think he would need the knockout as well. I don't really see him getting there with wrestling. But I mean, I can see why he's the favorite. Tibau could be done, especially after that USADA suspension and then the way he got knocked out in his last fight. I don't know, man. I just think this could be a lot of recency biasness where people are just fading Tibau because of the knockout. They're like, oh, I didn't see him getting knocked out, and he did, so he's probably done. I'm not willing to say that yet, so I might have a couple shares of him. I think I might even be more interested in Tibau than I am Green just because of their price tags. Man, I have a hard time seeing Green getting more than 90 points, but if Tibau wins, he should be able to pay off his, 7,200. So, I mean, it's probably going to be a fade fight for me, but I'd say dog or pass.
Well, Kyle, that's why you are the DraftKings guy for Half the Battle. Always appreciate it, my man. We're going to be talking next week. I believe is it finally time for Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero?
It is, man. I'm looking forward to 225. We've had some small contests over on DraftKings, so I expect them to raise them on that one and have some pretty big prizes.
Definitely follow this man at Big Marley 3. Add him on DraftKings at Big Marley 3 as well. If you challenge him, watch out. And Kyle, we'll speak soon, man.
Sounds good, man. Good luck this weekend.
Likewise, man. Take care. And that's why Kyle Marley is the DraftKings guy for Half the Battle. I mean, we're over here giving the bets, and my man Kyle Marley's killing it with the DraftKings. You know what I'm saying, Shaq? Well, Shaq, now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So what is the fight to watch for UFC Utica?
My fight to watch is going to be Jake Ellenberger versus Ben Saunders. You know, I'm interested to see what happens in that fight. You know, I'm interested to see if Ellenberger just touch him one time on the chin, is the fight going to be over? Because I really think if Saunders can stay conscious, the teeps of the body are going to pay off here, and the things I mentioned earlier. So that's the fight I want to see. And we know Ben Saunders is coming off that fight of the night, and you know, it's always fun seeing Yes Jake quit.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Definitely one I'll be tuning in for. I mean, the fight to watch is Gregor Gillespie versus Vinc Pichel. I mean, you look at the wrestling credentials of a guy like Gregor Gillespie, you see his development in MMA. Now he's got a very tough matchup with Vinc Pichel. I want to know if he's going to come out here and they're going to have a back and forth war, if he's going to absolutely mop the floor with him. So that makes me very intrigued. And Vince has a chance to come out here and get a massive upset and immediately put his name in the headlines. So for that reason, Gregor versus Vince is my fight to watch. So Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC Utica?
Now, my fighter to watch is going to be Jimmie El Terror Rivera. We put a lot of expectations on this guy since his debut, and now he's been living up to those expectations. And you know, with another win, he's one win away from he's going to get a title shot if he can win this fight. And it's going to be great to see, you know, if he can get his hand raised here, which he is known for. He gets his hand raised a lot. I mean, now you got a real bantamweight star on the East Coast right there. You know what I'm saying? The guy's literally beating everyone he's fought. He's really undefeated. The one loss is, you know, a complete robbery. So Jimmie Rivera is my fighter to watch.
And my fighter to watch is the new guy, Nathaniel Wood. Look, he's coming into the UFC with a lot of hype. He's been absolutely knocking out everybody he's fighting over there in Cage Warriors. And I don't know if you've seen some of these knockouts, Shaq, but I'm talking about out cold, stiff left hook KOs. They're giving him a stand-up battle with Johnny Eduardo Eduardo. You know my boy Johnny Eduardo will go toe-to-toe with anyone. Nathaniel Wood's the young up-and-comer, and he's going to face a Nova União striker in his UFC debut on Fight Pass, and I cannot wait to see what Nathaniel Wood's all about. So for that reason, he is my fighter to watch. Well, Shaq, we did it. It's going down this Friday, UFC Utica. Jimmie Rivera versus Marlon Moraes. They can follow me at Best Fight Picks. They can follow you at MMA Genius 05. They can follow our official Instagram at Best Fight Picks Official. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up those 5-star reviews on iTunes. Make sure you sign up this week at bestfightpicks.com for our max bet because it's always max bet season. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.